Shit is weird, bro. It cuts me off every single time.
Every time I'm like, what?
Recording in progress. All right. 1, 2, 3. Everybody, we are back. It is Tape Don't Lie. It is your favorite Raiders podcast. Definitely a little bit of a hiatus, but we all need a break, man. It's it's not a lot of football right now. A lot of people taking some vacations, so we got a little break too. A little bit, but we're back, guys. Covering everything Raiders for you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the dislike button if you don't like it. So make sure that you guys do that as well, right? And then follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL and at BD Williams 18, right? So follow both of us there, and make sure you guys go check out the last episode we just did. We did the all-time draft. Go ahead and give us some voting there. Get the votes going over there. If you haven't seen that one, go ahead and go over there. Make sure you check it out. Yell at us. Tell us how bad our teams are. Tell us how great our teams are. Tell us which team you like better. Go ahead and make a vote. You know what I'm saying? I'm losing right now, so if you want to go over there, if you just support Marcus, go ahead and do that. But make sure you go over there and vote on our all-time teams. And remember, it's a draft, guys. So if you get to the video, it's your first time watching it, make sure you get through the whole video. There's 2 teams. There's not just one offense. I did not take, whatever legendary guy that I missed on there. Everybody got Crabtree over Cliff Branch. Like, no, it didn't happen that way. So make sure you go through it. I know we didn't explain it very well. That's on us, but make sure you go through it. Make sure go through the whole video, watch both teams, and then vote. Don't vote early. You know what I mean? But
I mean, look, you need some help. You need some help. I'm winning in a landslide right now. My strategy with the all-time Raiders draft was get the names. Okay, get the guys like Jim Otto and Bo Jackson, like those people. When people hear those names, they perk up. So that was my strategy, and I think it worked out for me. You know what I'm saying?
I think it did. We still got a couple question marks, like Van Egan. We didn't take Mark Van Egan, of course.
We missed some corners too. Surprisingly, we missed some corners. Skip Thomas. A lot of people have been hitting me up saying, why didn't we draft Skip Thomas? And I don't think Skip Thomas was on the list of players to choose from for some reason. So that was an oversight on my part when I compiled that list. And then Eric Allen as well. He came to the Raiders late.
That was a big miss for us. Yeah,
I would have took Eric Allen. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, over Stanford route. So that was a lot. That was last week, but now we're back to real football this time, right? Actual film breakdowns. Marcus went gung ho over. He's got several segments for us to watch today. So I guess the hot topic always every offseason is Derek Carr. And sometimes we get accused. Like one time someone said that I was a Carr stan. Okay. But we're kind of looking at him, critiquing him a little bit today, right? Or a lot of bit today. So why don't you set the table? I'll make you the host, and why don't you set the table for what your first segment is going to be about?
Yeah, so what we're doing today, we're going to look at Derek Carr's interceptions, right? So we're going to look at his interceptions, every single one. We're going all 9. We're doing all 9, guys. We're doing an adventure of Derek Carr turnovers. So we're going to go check out, see what's going on, what's the reason why they happen, and get some thought process, and kind of just talk about why he threw them or why he didn't throw them, right? Or was it on somebody else? Whatever. We're going to deep dive into every single interception, and then we're on the back end. We're going to talk about tight window throws. We had the Kurt Warner breakdown. It's a lot of Kurt Warner talking about him being aggressive in the second level of the field, intermediate part of the field. So we'll talk about that, what that looks like, the gifts and the curves, or the pros and the cons of being that aggressive, and that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to do a lot of quarterback deep diving. But BD, you got some good stuff today too, though. You got some good stuff, though, right? You got some good stuff for us.
Hopefully people like it. I'm just going to talk about some. We're going to be doing a series, as the summer unfolds, on some position battles that we think are going to be taking place. So I'm taking my first crack at that, talking about who will be behind Casey Hayward, behind Trayvon Mullen, who the next corner up will be in that rotation, in that mix. So that's what I'll talk about on the outside today.
Okay. All right. But let's go ahead and get into these Derek Carr interceptions. You know, everybody wants to learn about, you know, some picks here. So let's go ahead and get into that. All right, yeah. So we start this off week 1, right? That's not week 1, sorry, week 5. The first interception of the season. We got a play action Yankee. We got the dig from Waller. We got the post route from Aguilar. You're a fan of the show, you're familiar with the Yankee concept, but we got a little cone coverage, right? A little bit of a double team at the top with a little cloud on the boundary side of the field, right? So Carr thinks he has Waller wide open here. Right, he thinks he has Waller wide open, but Bashaud Breeland, right? They're playing a little man match quarter, right? So, you know, little man, right? Switch it up. It's a pick, right? So on that one, I mean, that one was more confusion or being confused by the coverage, right? And he really thought Waller was going to be wide open there, and where he threw it everywhere, you really thought he was going to have Waller there, right? But it wasn't. Bashaud Breeland made a great play. On this one, we got flat 7, and we got a dig curl on the backside, right, on the left-hand side, right? And then we got basically some cover 4 from the Bucks, right? But Carr, he wants to hit the flat 7, right, which is the corner in the flat. It's not there, so he's coming backside to Nelson Aguilar, right? And he has a good window there, right? But I think that he would have hit the window better if that was his initial read, right? So he could hit it with some anticipation, but he's coming backside. So it gave, I think that's Antoine, no, that's not Winfield, but one of the Bucs safeties gave him a chance to break on this football. Aguilar still should have made that catch and ended up being an interception to Antoine Winfield, right? So this one, I don't really feel like it was on Carr as much as I feel like that Aguilar should at least made this catch, right? He should. This is a catch that you want your wide receiver to make, especially when he's opening up to his, as you can see right here, he opens up, he looks that way, he's not there, he comes backside. You got to make that catch for your quarterback, bro. And he makes that play, right? So that one's on Aguilar. He's got to make that catch. And he's gonna have to do that for Cam Newton, making $12 million a year over the Patriots. Now this one was a little bit of desperation, right? This is like all verticals, right? 3 verts. Some people like to call it all verticals, all goes or whatever. And then we kind of got, a little bit of cover 7 with a little bit of switch. You see Sorensen, he's going to switch all the way back, and Matthews going to go right to the middle of the field, right? And this is more just desperation, just throwing it up. I mean, it's the end of the game, 35-31. Maybe Aguilar could have read that a little better and made it more of a jump ball. He could have went to the flat and hit Waller as well, and maybe got some more yardage to get to the Hail Mary. But I mean, this is desperation. You want him to be aggressive here and try to make a play. That's what he's trying to do. It just didn't work out, So that one, I mean, really, it's not on anybody. It's just that's desperation. All right. So let's get into some more nitty gritty here. Let's get into the Falcons here. We got a nice little switch. We got a switch going here, right? You got the little motion, figure out what coverage we got. We got man-to-man, but we got 4 verts, right? Versus man-to-man, versus cover 1. We got 4 verts, and Carr is going to open up to his left, to the Witten and Waller side. You see Witten and Waller at the bottom. That's where he's opening up to, all right, guys? So here we go. Run this one. Right, he opens up. Nothing's there. Nobody's getting open. Of course, Jason Witten's not getting open. Bryan Edwards has a little bit of separation. Carr opened up to his left, didn't open up to his right. So he opened up to his left. There's nothing there, right? He's got the check down coming with Booker coming out the backfield, but Gabe Jackson's getting his butt whipped. And it leads to a pick because Carr throws an errant ball because of the pressure, right? So he had to jump. He wasn't able to throw an accurate pass. He probably had Booker for some good yardage if he had time. Even if he decided to do a check down and not go over to Bryan Edwards and be aggressive, he still had a good play to Devin Booker, right? And we'll see here, I don't know who number 50 is. But that's probably why Gabe Jackson might not be here anymore, is because, he's supposed to be a pass blocking guy, and he got his butt whipped by number 50, and we have no idea who that is. And it caused an errant throw, and pick 6, Deion Jones. All right, so this one is interesting too as well. I mean, this is kind of the Jets were playing cover 1, make sure coverage 0 most of the game. They did some zone coverages a little bit, but you'll see here that we got Ruggs coming on the motion and doing going to the sidelines and back in. And then we got a go from Hunter Renfrow, and then we got another kind of a wheel go route. Both wheel go routes from Aguilar and Renfrow here. So, all right. So you see this 23, they're playing man to man. 23 looked like he's double teaming him. So Carr reading this post snap, he thinks it's a double team on Aguilar. I got Ruggs wide open underneath on a little bit of a check down type of look, right? So, and then it just ends up being a drop. But Aguilar, he did have Aguilar maybe for like a touchdown or something like that with a good throw. But, with the way the coverage went, I mean, it's kind of hard for him to read it that way, especially when you're reading that post snap. You see two guys go in that area. You're not going to go there, right? You go back down to underneath. But, I mean, you could have let it develop more, but that's just, we're nitpicking a little bit there. All right, so double China 7, smash 7, right? First, we got a stubby right here on right at the bottom, and a little bit of a switch coverage here, right, from the Colts, right? And we got post snap. I mean, you look at that, you look at it here, you look at this, the corner route. Darren Waller's wide open. He's gonna be wide open. Kenny Moore, he got Hunter Renfrow, right? You think it is man to man, but it's not man to man, right? They switched it up on him. Kenny Moore drops off, and you can even tell by the leverage that Kenny Moore, it looks like he was guarding Hunter Renfrow, and he just drops off and picks it off with one hand. I mean, that was just incredible. That's just an incredible play by Kenny Moore, and that's Derek Carr more being confused by Kenny Moore than anything else and thinking he had something wide open. Here's another interception from that game, kind of just a check down that he dropped. Pick 6, end of the game, garbage time, really didn't matter, but it's on the board, right? So he actually went a little bit without throwing a pick. We all the way to week 17, right? So week 17, we got a high-low concept, right? We got the dig route with Waller, and the kind of the drag route with Witten, and then we kind of got like a whip route at the top with Ruggs, and a go route with Edwards, right? You can see the coverage right there from the Broncos. And he has Darren Waller open. Good pocket movement. He just misses him. We're talking about why he missed him on this back end right here, right? So we'll check it out. And you'll see why he missed him, basically. But this is really good pocket movement for Carr. I mean, that's one of the things he approved of. But when your feet don't match your eyes, you see his feet's pointing one way, he's throwing the other. When your feet don't match your eyes in the pocket, that's what happens. Pick. Aaron throw. I mean, Darren Waller had to catch that with one hand, but I mean, that's not going to happen most of the time, right? All right, so here's the last pick of the season, right? We got a double smash 7 again at the bottom, and then we got a quick post. It's a dig, quick post. I don't know. You guys decide that based on how he runs this route, but we'll see this back end here. And Carr really tries to fit it into this window. Right. I mean, it's a window he could have fit in with some perfect timing, but it's just a little bit late. And I think Aguilar rounds this route off a little bit too much. That's why, is it a post? Is it a dig? Raiders usually don't run digs here. You know what I mean? So, and then it just ends up being a pick, man. Right? But that's a great play by Kareem Jackson too, guys. I mean, Kareem Jackson, he kind of read that perfectly, and he broke on that with a great transition on this ball. But this comes back, and you see that little bit of an extra hitch there. I mean, if Carr kind of just threw that without the hitch, he probably gets it in there. But we don't know about coaching and how he's coached on that route. He might be coached to have a hitch on that route. You know what I mean? So if he didn't have a hitch, he probably might get that in there. I mean, right before Kareem gets there. I mean, also, did Aguilar drift off on that route a little bit? But I mean, that's what happens when you kind of throw into some tighter windows right there. You got the chance of that if you miss, or if you're late, or if somebody rounds off a route, anything goes wrong, it's an interception. So we saw that Kareem Jackson took advantage, and he's a great safety, probably like top 15 safeties in the NFL. So he's a really good player. Former corner. So, I mean, he has corner transitions and stuff like that. He's able to transition really quickly. And that's what happens when you have those windows. But, I mean, I think a lot of those interceptions, especially late in the year, I think there was some him taking a little bit more of chances, like the red zone one, right? This 3rd and 8. It's 17-14 right before halftime, right? I mean, yeah, they went for the end zone, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to be aggressive and go for the end zone. I mean, you could go on the flip side, like maybe if he read that correctly, he throws it down, they kick the field goal, and the game's tied, and then it's looking a little different. I mean, But I mean, that's what happens when you want to do that, when you want to play that way. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes it happens. It happens. I mean, there's great players that make great plays, and they're gonna make great plays on you. And then like the Henry Ruggs one, I mean, he threw it a little hot. I mean, he probably could have just, maybe that. I don't know. I mean, that one's a little different to me because I mean that bounced off his hands, but then he still had Aguilar deep though if he was a little more patient there. So, I mean, but that's tough though. I mean, quarterbacks like it's so quick. As soon as you see that guy run up there and there's two people on Aguilar, you're coming down. I mean, that's just I think most quarterbacks would do that. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that would stay with that look. So, but I mean, as you see, I mean, a lot of the interceptions weren't really on him per se or terrible decisions. It was more some like great defense and, him being fooled by somebody. You know what I mean? So, what are your thoughts, BD?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's two categories of these interceptions. It was off of some of them were off of a receiver's hands, and like that's just that's gonna happen in all phases of football. Quarterback's gonna throw it to the receiver, pop off, balls in the air. That's asking for a pick, and any quarterback who gets through the season without that happening, it's just a stroke of luck. It has nothing to do with like skill. If
Yeah.
so those kind of bad luck things are going to happen. It's not like we could say, oh, this happens all the time to Derek Carr, like bouncing off receivers' hands or whatever. There is then the other category where it's like, okay, Kenny Moore, he's playing stump, meaning he's got he's basically reading 2 to 3 vertical, and when Waller goes vertical, he's parallels with line of scrimmage and he's widening out on Hunter Renfro's route before he flips his hips. That's an excellent job of baiting that throw in. Fantastic play. Rashad Breeland in week 5, they're basically doubling the backside, and because Rashad Breeland knows, okay, I have help over the top of this route's going vertical, he can see through it and see that a guy's coming on a route concept that a lot of NFL teams run, especially teams that like to run the ball. They run Yankee, so it's not like just a Raider specific game plan thing. Lots of teams run Yankee a lot. Like that's most teams' number one go to play action pass.
Yeah.
So he can see through his receiver, see that he's got the over route coming his way, and he comes off of it. So like some of them are just really fantastic plays. Kareem Jackson again, backside they're doubling, and he's able to jump to Nelson Aguilar's route. So yeah, maybe there could be like a mix of receivers not in the right place, but I think that a lot of these are going to happen to most quarterbacks in the NFL. Just some fantastic coverage plays that we saw there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And there's some fantastic coverage there. And, and that was most of them was great coverage. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, we know that, I mean, Derek Carr's not going to try to throw the ball into, a lot of windows, right? I mean, that's what the Kurt Warner video was basically about. I mean, it's kind of is what it is, but I mean, we saw that more often last year, and that's why he ended up throwing more picks. I mean, at the end of the year, I mean, he threw 7 in the second half of the season, only had 2 early on. I mean, they kind of attacked more downfield, led to more interceptions. So, I mean, even some of those were bounced off people's hands, I mean, they're still down the field. They're more than 10 yards. I mean, the Waller one, I mean, that's more than 10 yards down the field. That's intermediate part of the game. Aguilar's intermediate part of the game. The double China 7 at the end is intermediate part of the game. So, the interceptions became more often because they tried to be a little bit more aggressive. So, I mean, but that kind of goes into talking about, I mean, the Kurt Warner video and kind of his breakdown about him being aggressive. So, but the thought on that one, especially with what Kurt Warner was talking about, was more about like timing and anticipation, right? So, I mean, if you had tight window throws in the intermediate part of the game, right? Because I mean, Kurt Warner wasn't really talking about the deep. He wasn't talking about him throwing deep. It wasn't like about him throwing bombs. It wasn't him throwing 50-yard touchdowns. It wasn't him throwing 40-yard touchdowns. It's more about him being aggressive to the second level of the field, which is a huge thing for Kurt Warner. If you ever followed or listen to Kurt Warner talk about quarterbacks, he talks about the second level of the field. He says 11 to 30 is where he like quarterbacks are make their money. And that's kind of his belief, right? So when he's coaching somebody, he's coaching a quarterback, that's how he's going to coach them. He's going to coach them to be aggressive from 11 to 30, right? I mean, so that's what the critique comes from, that he wants more from Derek Carr to attack those windows from at a high level, which, yeah, I mean, you definitely want to be able to attack the intermediate part of the game and be able to attack those levels, and that's how you get chunk plays is attacking those things. But I think some of the windows were interesting. I thought some of the windows were interesting, and I thought that he mentioned interceptions a lot, right? Throwing interceptions, and he might throw a couple more picks to what is going on in that situation. He's gonna throw more picks, right? I mean, he might throw more picks. I mean, and like it's just funny, like some of the situations, like the switch verticals one. I mean, if he throws a pick on that one, because that one was really tight. That was one of the tighter ones. I mean, there's some which took some anticipation. Like one of them, he had Waller coming up on the dig, and if he anticipated it right, he could have hit him. But like based on the coverage, that when he stepped back, yeah, it was better to check it down because of where they were at the time. But if he waited and anticipated it, he could have had Waller open. Yeah, I understand that. But I think like the switch vertical ones, I mean, there's not a lot of room in there, and he could definitely fit it if he anticipated, right? But the next play, he threw a 15-yard touchdown to Aguilar, right? So let's say that he missed on the switch vertical ones. I mean, that's a pick, and everybody's killing them. And then, they're down 21-3. They're down 14-3 at that point. So then they'd be down 21-3. I mean, even 17-3. It's even a bigger blowout game. They're in Arrowhead. Everybody starts freaking out on him, right? You know what I mean? So, and you already do a pick in that game too, right? So I think it just goes twofold. I think it's like it's hard. It's coaching from Kurt Warner, right? Kurt Warner's he's gonna coach. That's how he believes. That's his philosophy of how he plays quarterback. That's how he won as a quarterback. I mean, I think the game is a little different now, though. I think you can't really be that super tight window quarterback and be, all the way successful all the time. I think there's not a lot of quarterbacks that throw into tight windows like how he wants to, like how he wants Carr to throw into tight windows. I think it's a little bit more of an old school mentality a little bit too, because I don't think that just doesn't happen in today's NFL. Like even Patrick Mahomes, that's people probably thinking like, oh, Mahomes throws in the tight windows. Well, I mean, I've been watching Mahomes this weekend, and he throws the wide open Tyreek Hill killing people and wide open Travis Kelce, beating people. And then if he rolls out, he'll throw into a tight window, but not from the pocket. He's not throwing into like crazy tight windows from the pocket. He's
when Patrick Mahomes sees two high safeties post snap, he scrambles. He does not throw into tight windows. Okay.
That's very true. But a lot of quarterbacks don't, you know what I mean? And I think that the intermediate part of the field is also somewhere where the Raiders don't attack a lot either. So you're not going to see a lot of on tape of examples of the Raiders attacking intermediate. So, I mean, the Raiders, only they did 19% this past year, intermediate passes, right? Derek Carr was 16% in 2019. And for comparison, I'll talk about before Gruden, Derek Carr was 25% in 2016 with Bill Musgrave. He was 24% in 2015 with Bill Musgrave, right? So the intermediate part of the game is just something that John Gruden doesn't attack a lot. So there's not going to be a whole bunch of examples of somebody attacking intermediate. So if, Derek Carr might miss one, I mean, there's not going to be another example of it for like maybe 6 plays, right? So it's a thing that they did more often later in the season, though, because if you go like 13, week 14, even the Dolphins game, and we showed on the Broncos game, they attacked the intermediate part of the field a lot more than they usually do. And I think that comes with a belief in wide receivers too. You gotta have wide receivers that get open outside to have intermediate, right? I mean, Cooper and Crabtree, Derek Carr through intermediate, and you guys thought he, everybody said he was more aggressive and threw downfield down there, but it was more about he had guys that get open in the intermediate game and they attacked it. So it's a little
for Kurt Warner, and I'll talk about how not a Twitter. You guys got into a little back and forth on Twitter, okay, about it, which is pretty cool. Marcus going head to head with Kurt Warner on Twitter, but Kurt Warner, he wants to anticipate. Okay, when you're throwing to Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce, okay, across the middle, they are going to be exactly where the play is designed to go. We're talking about two Hall of Fame wide receivers that he had the benefit of anticipating where these guys are going to be. Derek Carr has rookies. He has Nelson Aguilar, who just joined the team. So yeah, if they passed into the intermediate area and Derek Carr threw the ball with more anticipation as the season went on, well, yeah, because he had to build that chemistry. He has to build that trust with those guys before he can do that. You can't just do that off of no training camp with any of these guys, and we're just going to start anticipating and throwing balls into traffic to them. Like, no, that's first of all, that's not a John Gruden offense. That's not what John Gruden wants. He wants guys to be risk adverse, and he wants Derek Carr to check down. But certainly there was definitely some salient points, some good criticisms of Derek Carr in Kurt Warner's video, but I think some of it just lacked a little bit of context for people like you and me who spend a lot of time breaking down the Raiders. Seeing him looking at this window and saying, "Oh, Derek Carr should have fit that pass into there." And when you watch a bunch of Gruden like you do, that's not what John Gruden wants. John Gruden wants, like, wait, you're telling me the back is like wide open in the flat? No, that's where the ball goes here, right? Yeah. So, I think some of it just lacked a little bit of context, and that's what we're here. We're here to talk about it. Kurt Warner, smart guy, incredibly, he has all the recognition, all the awards for a reason, but he's not playing greatest show on turf. Derek Carr isn't doing greatest show on turf offense. So there's going to be things that don't necessarily, overlap. Another point, if you let me get in there.
Okay.
When Kurt Warner was playing quarterback in the NFL, he was going up against cover 2 and cover 3 all the time. Okay. Now, Derek Carr, when it's too high, he's getting all these man match quarters, cover 7 looks. Okay, you have no idea what it's going to be until like late in the down. Not saying that Kurt Warner didn't see any crazy coverages, but like the amount of crazy coverages that are in the NFL right now, like that Chiefs interception late in the game, week 12. Okay, Daniel Sorensen's in the box. The safety in the middle of the field goes all the way down across the middle of the field. Derek Carr's thinking, "Oh, I got a one-on-one." Daniel Sorensen comes from the box into the deep half at the last second. It's that those kind of things are like, that's an incredible call right there. Like, talk about balls on a defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, to say, yeah, I'm going to have my safety line up as a linebacker, but then, bail into the deep half. And it actually, and it works. Is like, wow, gosh, like you can only call something like that in the NFL. And I'd be pretty surprised if I saw many teams trying that against Kurt Warner, back in 2002, 2003.
Yeah. I mean, I will say too, I mean, because the part of it was interceptions, right? I mean, he was talking about he might throw some more interceptions. And I think in today's NFL, you can't throw interceptions. One, right? I mean, Kurt Warner, he won MVP through 22 when he won MVP. All right. So he threw 36 touchdowns, 22 picks, right? And the reason why you could probably throw more picks and back in the day in 2000, 2001, 1999 is because it was a rushing league still. So if you threw a pick, right, the team is not gonna do what happened with Josh Allen. Like, okay, let's talk about Darren Waller fumbled, right? Right. The Bills were up at that point, right? When Darren Waller fumbled. What did the Bills do the next play? They threw that ball 70 yards to Stephon Diggs, right? That the game's different. Like, you can't like in 1999, if the Bills were up 7 and Darren Waller fumbled, they're running the football.
They're running the ball, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're not. So it's a different game too. So like, if the aggressiveness, that's why we don't see as many quarterbacks be aggressive, right? But let's talk about it. I'll just get into this my tight window video here. We're talking about like we'll just talk about being aggressive and what it looks like, and the benefits of it, right? I mean, there's some benefits of being aggressive. We're not here like saying like, Derek Carr doesn't need to be more aggressive, right? And we're not trying to say that, I mean, or whatever, you know what I mean? But so I just want to kind of add some perspective to things. I mean, that's kind of what we do here at Taped Online. All right, so we're gonna go with my boy Dak Prescott here, bro, because Dak Prescott is my dude, okay, and he is a psycho. I just want to start off and say that he is a psycho. All right, so but why is he a psycho? Because he has great timing and anticipation, and I mean this is basically what Kurt Warner's talking about, like having the timing and anticipation to fit these tight windows, right? Because right here, he's got the dig with Noah Brown, and he's throwing into right to there. And look at that timing and anticipation of that throw, bro. That is crazy. And led to a 40-yard play. They ended up winning that game because of some big throws, right? So yeah, attacking downfield, it does help you win games for sure, right? But then you got here, right? With you got a little missile route from Amari Cooper. Look where Dak Prescott starts this throw, right? Look where Amari Cooper is. He's not even finished his route. Whew, that is tight, right? But that takes perfect timing and anticipation, right? So Dak is probably the most aggressive quarterback in the NFL. He really is. He honestly is the most aggressive quarterback that I've watched this summer. And you see here, but these windows close so quick in the NFL. Sometimes if you're late, if you hitch too much, window open, window close, it's a pick, right? And that looked open when he was going to the back of his drop, but sometimes you might hitch too much, right? That little extra hitch right there, he's off, right? So it takes so much perfect timing and anticipation to hit some of these windows. And you see here, that window's a little bit open, right? It's a little bit open. Nope, closed, right? It's more because he was late. He's a little bit late with the football, right? And that's all it takes with those tight windows. It's just, all it takes is just you hitching a little bit too much. All it takes is this, and then, it's a pick. Or if you miss, and Derek Carr is not the most accurate quarterback to the intermediate part of the field. He never has been. I mean, that's half his problem when the people say he can't throw to Cooper and all that, because it wasn't that he didn't throw to Cooper, is that he was missing him, right? And so what if he misses on some of those throws? I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking when I was watching it, that it's a pick and then we're killing him. So I mean, yeah, it's real critique. I mean, because the slant flat critique is always a big critique I had on cars. Like, come on, bro, you got to read the slant flat while you're in your drop, not pre-snap. Slant flat, you read it while you're dropping, because if the like when he read that when Deion Jones is coming, you got to know Deion Jones is going towards the flat, and you throw it behind him to Waller. Yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve with him with that is that play. I don't know. He almost threw a pick 2019 he threw a pick to Ryan Grant because he read it wrong, and he had the flat wide open, and he pre-snap he decided I'm going to do the slant no matter what, and he ended up throwing a pick because Ryan Grant like ran into somebody or something like that, but he already predetermined he was going there. So I mean, there was good critiques in there. I just think that people they kind of just ran with it a little bit too much and made it, it kind of confirmed their priors about Derek, I think, more than anything. And I don't think it was full along true last year. I think last year, I mean, the end of the year, his average depth of target was 9.2. So he's averaging 9 yards per target, which was 7th in the NFL on PFF, right? So I mean, at the beginning of the year it was 7.8. So I mean, there was some growth with aggression. We just gotta, I mean, we want him to be aggressive like he was in the second half. And if he's aggressive like that, they'll be fine. But I mean, he was aggressive in the second half, and they went 2-5. So I mean, I don't think it would have mattered. I don't think it would. Last year would have mattered, guys. They were just a super unlucky team. Let's talk about let's talk about this. Last year, the Raiders lost because they had bad luck. They had 21 fumbles and they lost 16 of them. Okay, that was second worst in the NFL. The Ravens had 28 fumbles and lost 7. There you go.
Ball bounces. Let's move on, guys. Ball bounces funny in football. Yeah,
so, it wouldn't matter. Derek Carr could have threw it into 800 tight windows, but somebody would have fumbled and it would have bounced right into somebody's hands, or he fumbled and it bounced right into somebody. Like I mean, I don't know what the Ravens do, bro, but like they got like a 60% fumble rate since 2011. I don't know what they do like the practice. They must have some serious fumble drills or.
Right. That's a cool stat. Didn't know that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that, to your point, um, would it have mattered? Um, they were more aggressive in the second half of the season, you know, and they still lost. And a big reason why they lost, is some crucial mistakes on defense, to blow games. Kansas City, Miami, that really hurt the team. So I think that is a good segue into what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm talking about some depth at the cornerback position.
All right. Let's get
Is
into it.
is that good to move on?
Yeah, it's let's move on, bro. It's enough.
All right, so I'm talking to you guys today about who is in the cornerback rotation, who's in the mix to play behind Casey Hayward and Trayvon Mullen. I'd say those guys are probably solidly penciled in as starters. So who's up next? And the reason why I decided to make this breakdown is because Gus Bradley had an interview and he was talking about how Nevin Lawson and Amik Robertson and Nate Hobbs were, in the mix competing for the starting nickel position. And I've been on this show saying Damon Arnett should get a crack at that starting nickel position because he's a first round pick. Okay. And that means that he's a starter if he's in the nickel. And so when I heard that Damon Arnett is not in the mix to play any nickel this year, I was like, okay, so let's look at these outside corners and does Damon Arnett really have a good chance of, getting some playing time with the way that the roster is currently constructed? Okay, so first thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is new Raider Rasul Douglas. Okay, Rasul Douglas got signed, and I like the signing when it happened because he's a zone corner. Okay, and Gus Bradley runs a zone scheme. Okay, all right, so here he is at the bottom of the screen, and he gets a flag route to his side, and he's able to make a read on this break on Hunter Renfrow when they played the Raiders week 1. And what I love about this, he's maintaining a upfield shoulder position, and he sees through the wide receiver to the quarterback, and he's able to come make a break on this. Although Tahir Whitehead did tackle Hunter Renfrow, and that was pass interference. Now we're going up against the Lions. Okay, similar concept. Flag route to his side, maintains that upfield shoulder position, comes off of it, reads this, needs to get the guy on the ground though, but you see the recognition is there. Okay, now again, another flag route, got a vertical from number 1. He's reading through number 1. Okay, sees that the quarterback is hitching up, ready to throw, and he recognizes that there's a flag route coming to his side, and so he breaks on that, gets his hand on the pass again. So we got the route recognition; it's there. All right, now off zone. So these are zone reps in an off position. So he's playing cover 4 here, and he's playing on top of Allen Robinson and gets a pass breakup here. And Allen Robinson takes the outside release, and if you watch Rasul Douglas's feet, he's taking a leverage step to maintain his outside leverage position on Allen Robinson. Okay, and the reason why Allen Robinson is taking this outside leverage or at this outside release to move that corner, okay, and to open up a window inside. So Rasul Douglas moves left, Allen Robinson is going to break right into the window. Now look at this break. Textbook break and drive from Rasul Douglas to make a pass breakup despite a really good route combination, especially for that coverage. Okay, this is another one. He's playing off zone cover 3, and he gets a post route, and watch him just take 1, 2, bam, and he's there. He's coming to break this pass up on this dig route, on this post dig route right here. So his transitions when he's in off are really good. Now you're going to have to play man on the backside in Gus Bradley's scheme. Okay, if you're playing cover 3, they're playing cover 4. They're going to have to play man on the backside, and we see him here against Darren Waller going man to man. He's a big corner. He's not getting pushed around. What I love about this rep Darren Waller pushes. Okay, so I'm going to pull you. That's fair game in the NFL. You push, I pull. Gets a pass breakup. Okay, he's a big corner. He can handle that. Now, man on the backside, he gets a slant route here. And what I love about this, just the patience. Look how patient his feet are. A lot of corners are going to bail out, start pedaling. And he's playing man on this guy, and he, fundamentally sound, keeps his feet patient, and he's able to make this pass breakup when he's playing man on the backside. And he's not perfect. I think that he's a little bit limited as an athlete. I don't think has the greatest burst, greatest speed. And you see him try to guess right here. He's got a reduced split. Travis Kelce's on the backside. So what he's thinking, okay, come back, corner, out route. Reduced split means they're going to break out. And when he sees Travis Kelce go to break out, he tries to jump it, gets beat on a double move here. It's going to happen in the NFL. You got to take some calculated guesses, but he does get beat. He's not, infallible here. Maybe hold on for dear life, get a pass interference, and it'll be a 17-yard gain instead of a monster 40-yard gain. Is just my preference on that. Now, press man, even though he's big, 6'2", 210, the worst part of Rasul Douglas's game is playing press man. You see him guess, open the gate there, allow Calvin Ridley to beat him inside. You got to fight to stay square. I don't care what technique you're using to play press, you always have to fight to stay square, and he opens up right there. You see him here against Mike Evans. He gets widened out, and he clicks his heels together, his feet cross. Okay, and now by the time he's putting his foot in the ground to follow Mike Evans, it's already too late because he was picking his feet up too high, and he gets beat. And then this is just he gets into a race with a fast guy, and he's not winning any races in the NFL. He's probably the slowest corner on the Raiders roster. He wins with good technique and route recognition. He's not going to win with athleticism. And, this is just a rep that goes to show you when he does land his hands, because he does have good length and he does fight to stay square, even though he, goes for a two-hand jam here, which is probably not optimal. You see he can disrupt timing of things if he gets his hands on. So Rasul Douglas has great route recognition. He's very comfortable off coverage, and he's got really good transitions, but he has some limited athletic traits and really bad technique and press. Now let's look at Damon Arnette. Okay. Damon Arnette didn't have quite as many snaps playing last year, and something that I think that he's going to need to work on to beat out Rasul Douglas is his route recognition. So we got the same exact concept that Rasul Douglas was dominating and breaking these passes up, and we see Damon Arnette really slow to figure out what's happening here. Okay, and there's a couple things that went wrong in this rep. So first of all, he needs to be on the upfield shoulder and maintain the leverage on top of Tyreek Hill. Okay, but he's just running to grass. He has a huge, he's not covering anyone, and he's looking at Hill instead of looking at the quarterback. So he misses, or he's slow to pick up on this route concept that's coming towards him. And we also see not a great transition. If you watched the previous episode when I talked about this play, I didn't like his transition. So let's talk about his transitions here. Okay, something that Rasul Douglas did really well. Let's look at it for Damon Arnette. He's in man off coverage against Tyreek Hill, and when Tyreek Hill breaks to the out, Damon Arnette takes 4-5 steps before he's breaking and driving. Okay, a lot of false steps in there, a lot of bucket steps in there. We just ideally want him to plant with that back foot and drive off the front foot, 1-2. But what is Damon Arnette good at? He's good at press man. Okay, this is a fantastic rep in press man against Tyreek Hill with man match quarters scheme. A lot of people think that Damon Arnette is slow, but you see him here. When he gets that reroute, he's able to run stride for stride with Tyreek Hill, and disrupt this pass. So this is what Damon Arnette is good at right now. Coming out of Ohio State, corners usually are really good at playing press man, but there's the finer details of the game that he's going to have to work on. Okay, so I do think that he is a good straight line athlete. He has solid press man skills already, and he's a willing tackler, even though I didn't show that in the breakdown, but his route recognition and his transitions really need work. Okay, now let's look at Isaiah Johnson. Isaiah Johnson, probably the most gifted player in this breakdown from a height, weight, speed standpoint. But let's look at his route recognition here. Okay, so the Raiders are playing man across the board. Everyone is playing man. But what is Isaiah Johnson doing? He's peeking into the backfield and he misses Travis Kelce, just literally like the easiest pitching catch that you can have. That was a really poor rep. Here we go. We got a orbit return motion. His man goes into the backfield. Isaiah Johnson takes his eyes off of it, loses him in all the in all the window dressing. And this is a pretty common play, I would say, across all levels of football. When you see the orbit, you got to keep your eye on the man because it could be coming back to you. And then this is a really snifty play call right here, getting Calvin Ridley a free, touchdown. And Isaiah Johnson, again, everyone's in man coverage. Keep your eyes on your man. He's trying to do too much here. He's just missing out on what's important, trying to make a play. So route recognition, serious question mark. Now, what is he good at? Okay, press man coverage is this guy's forte. He has everything you want. He has the arm length, he has the height, and he has the athleticism. And you see him here ride that tight end, get his hand in and there on the catch point to rake to disrupt that pass. Again, here he's not targeted, but man, this is a beautiful man coverage rep to get on top of that and then undercut it. He's gonna be targeted here, flat press, true press, breaks the pass up. And he does have some things to work on. He's trying a different technique here. He's trying to motor out and he opens the gate and guesses. So, I mean, in his development as a press man corner, you got to play different styles of press. And that's just something right now that, Isaiah Johnson is just good at one type of press. But I would say he has an elite athletic profile. It's great in true press man, and he disrupts the catch point, but he's a slow processor. And even though I didn't show it in the breakdown, Isaiah Johnson can't backpedal to save his life. So when I'm looking at these guys, okay, and if there was a game this weekend and either Casey Hayward or Trayvon Mullen gets hurt, okay, I'm starting Rasul Douglas over either of these young guys. He is a bona fide starter in the NFL. He's been a starter everywhere he's gone in the NFL. He's got incredible ability in zone, especially to anticipate, to recognize things, and his, the fundamentals of his game, the technique is really good. His transitions, there's no wasted movement, even though he's not an incredible athlete. I think he ran 4.6s at the combine. I still like him because he's a steady player, even though he's not really viable in man coverage, especially like from the press position. But I still like Rasul Douglas over these guys right now. If the season started tomorrow, that would be my guy that I would want to start over those guys. But we'll see what happens in training camp. If Damon Arnett can, take a big step, if Isaiah Johnson can take a big step. But Rasul Douglas, he's not a slouch. He's a really good player in the NFL. And I knew that he was a good zone corner. I didn't realize like how good, like close to elite almost zone corner, like if he had more interceptions instead of pass breakups there, we're talking about, a guy who's going to the Pro Bowl. So I was really impressed with Rasul Douglas's film. And this is going to be a tough guy to beat out, even for Casey Hayward, to be honest, because Casey Hayward's film wasn't great. And I've been watching a lot of Casey Hayward film because I've been breaking down Gus Bradley. You assume Casey Hayward, obviously he came over Gus Bradley's scheme. He knows Gus Bradley's scheme, probably most likely going to be penciled in as a starter. But if this was just like a regular, had nothing to do with, knowing Gus Bradley and playing for him before, I would say Rasul Douglas would have a chance to beat out Casey Hayward. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, man. Eagles fans gonna be mad at you, man, about your Rasul Douglas takes, man. They're gonna tell you you're crazy, but
he can't play press man. He can't play press man, But and I'm sure if I went back to the Eagles film, it might not have been as clean as it was in Carolina. So I'm willing to concede, but at the same time, like he started a lot in Philly, so it's not like he was, just like a 1-year starter. Like it was like 4 years of starting in Philly. So.
He started a lot. He had some good moments in Philly too. I just don't Philly fans hate him, but yeah, I mean he has he's a veteran corner, bro. I mean, basically what you showed was a good veteran NFL corner who just plays. He's just a veteran. He's gonna get beat sometimes. Right, he's gonna get beat, but sometimes he's gonna make some plays too. He's gonna be a little more sound. If like with some like a good coaching team with a good defense around him, he's not gonna be bad. You know what I mean? Like it's not that much of a liability because even the Eagles, they weren't. I mean, they were still good defensive teams even when he was on there. I mean, they weren't like terrible, like get off the field defense. You know what I mean? Like they're like top 15, maybe top 18 defenses, but they weren't like awful. So, but
what I would say is between the 20s. Put Rasul Douglas in as soon as they get to the goal line, sub him out and put Isaiah Johnson in to play press man, because that would be that's like the perfect. If they could just like combine those traits into one player, we're talking about a really good player. But yeah, definitely a liability in press man around the goal line. Not nearly athletic enough to have any mistakes. As soon as he gets just beat a little bit, they're targeting him. When they know when they know they're getting man coverage down there at the goal line. So he's going to give up some touchdowns for sure in those situations. But between the 20s, the anticipation that he has, the route recognition that he has, like you're saying, he's a veteran, he's a savvy guy. So I came away pretty impressed.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, BDs. What is the way for Arnett to get into the starting lineup? Because obviously, the reports are, about him not being an afterthought, which I actually confirmed that they didn't watch 11 on 11s. Vinny from Las Vegas Review Journal, he dropped the ball on that one. He shouldn't have lied to everybody. So basically, it's all speculation with Arnett. There's no nobody has any idea what is happening on the field. I mean, Vinny said something about like the drills. Well, who was sitting on the side during drills? I was like, what does that even mean? Right? That doesn't even mean anything.
That doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
But yeah, it's all speculation with Arnett. That's bothering me about that. But like, so what do you think are some things that could get him back into the starting lineup or back into over Casey Hayward at least, or behind Casey Hayward?
A lot of injuries, I guess. Like the growth that Arnett would have to show is just like astronomical. Like, he like, well, I don't know what else to say. Like he has bad technique when he's changing directions, when he's going backwards. It seems like things were moving very fast for him, and he wasn't getting a beat on what's happening and being able to like play with anticipation. So I don't know if that's all of a sudden just going to turn around in training camp. I would be pretty surprised, to be honest with you. I think that it's possible. Sure, it's possible that he goes in there and it's just like a completely new player. But like that's what it had to be. He would have to be a completely new player, which is why I was really hoping that he could just be the nickel, because he'll be playing curl flat, underneath, playing some man coverage. He doesn't have to be like deep down the field, reading routes as they develop as an outside guy. And Damon Arnett is a really willing tackler, even though he puts his head in way too much and gets hurt because of it. But he's a willing tackler. He can just fix his technique there. But that's why I was really hoping he would get some a shot to play in the slot. And it sounds like he's not a shot to play in the slot. And so for me, it's like, okay, Trayvon Mullen, Casey Hayward, Rasul Douglas is legit. Isaiah Johnson has a lot of talent. Damon Arnett is like 4th or 5th corner on the roster right now on the outside. So, I guess, wait and see until training camp. But if he's not making huge strides in training camp, my vote would be just to trade this guy and see if they can get a defensive tackle for him or something like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to see how bad he is in training camp before I jump on let's just kind of get rid of him, because you're right. I mean, because route recognition, bro, I mean, that's just tape watching, Right? I mean, you just got to know concepts, know situations, like it's like the Rashard Breeland one. I mean, how many teams run Yankees? So if I have a post over the top, I might have a dig coming towards me. That's just tape watching, like then and recognizing things, right? Even when I was in high school, like, we used to do that. This one team used to run the same route, and we got to pick off it because I knew the corner was coming. And so if in my safety knew that what was coming underneath, if a corner was over the top, and we picked it off and got a pick six. I mean, that's just route recognition, bro. That's from tape watching and understanding what's going on. So yeah, I mean, if he's not grinding tape like that, then you got a problem. That's basically
and like, yeah, and that's
the
like
same thing with Isaiah Johnson.
Yeah. Same thing with Isaiah Johnson. Like, at least Isaiah Johnson has like so much to work with from like just a traits standpoint, like that. This is a phenomenally gifted guy right here, right?
Yeah.
But like you see like how often he's just like not understanding like the concept or like what's going on, enough, especially when he's like playing off or he's playing zone. Like it's a problem. But someone like Russell Douglas comes into the NFL, runs 4.6s, people will go, okay, he's not athletic enough to do this. When you have a chip on your shoulder like that, what are you going to do? You're going to spend a lot of time watching film. You're going to spend a lot of time getting your transitions and things that you can control. You can't run faster, okay? Yeah. But you can play faster, right? Yeah. And so even though Russell Douglas is not as athletically gifted as Damon Arnette or Isaiah Johnson, he plays faster than those guys because he's a vet and because he takes it seriously. He's been in the NFL for like, it's going to be his sixth season in the NFL. And so you can just tell like he takes this stuff seriously. And if Damon Arnette goes another year, and I'm not going to jump to any conclusions, but I'm just saying hypothetically, if Damon Arnette has another year where he's not understanding the route concepts and his transitions continue to be poor, that's just hard work that changes those things. That's nothing to do with talent, right? So hopefully, yeah, Damon Arnette, we see like a big jump in those areas. And it's like, okay, he's been taking this seriously. Just like with any player, who needs to, work on things. Henry Ruggs is included in that, right? Brian Edwards is included in that, John Simpson, Andre James, all these guys are included. Is the stuff that you can actually work on, are they getting better? Is the stuff that you can actually get better at, are they getting better at that, So Damon Arnette falls into that category, but unlike those other guys, there's a backlog in front of him, and he's going to have to beat out guys who are bona fide starters in the NFL in order just to, not be a gunner on special teams.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Yeah. It's those draft picks, bro, man, that draft, these draft picks, man, I can't believe that I was just watching Jalen Johnson this morning. Because I sent you that tweet about AJ Brown, and I was watching Jalen Johnson. He was like, man, they just could have had him at 19. He'd been perfectly fine.
I mean, look, if Gus Bradley was the defensive coordinator when they were making those picks, the Damon Arnette pick last year,
yeah,
they would have probably got Diggs out of Alabama. They would have got a zone guy. So yeah. And so yeah, like this is not, Gus Bradley inherited Damon Arnette, so he inherited Isaiah Johnson. So he's training the roster right now. He's comes from Pete Carroll's coaching tree. Pete Carroll's famous for training the bottom of the roster, adding people, cutting people, adding people, cutting people, seeing if the cream rises to the top, and they got that going on right now. I think that's a great difference this year in the defense, is just like the depth right now. There's a lot of competition across the board. And so we're going to see if Damon Arnette is really the cream, he's going to be able to beat out, someone like Russell Douglas, someone like Isaiah Johnson. But if he's not, we got to throw the bad milk out, at some point.
It's tough. It's tough, man. It's just hard. It's just hard to swallow. There's just so many good corners in that draft, bro. I feel like.
I like Damon Arnette. I like Damon Arnette. I think that if the Raiders brought in a defense coordinator that liked to play a lot of man coverage, I'd be a lot more confident in him, like establishing himself. But because they're doing so much of things right now that Damon Arnett was not good at last year, that's what makes me a little nervous about his chances. So I think that, like I said before, if they trade him to a team that likes to play a lot of man coverage and they get a defensive tackle or something like that, you know, the value might be there. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe he can just improve his all-around game and make me shut up. So we'll see.
I mean, Jeffrey Simmons or the Titans. You know? Hey,
hey,
what's up, Jeff?
Hey, not gonna happen, bro.
I know it's like that, but I'm just let's call them. See what they want, man. See, we got David here, bro. You guys really ain't got. I mean, you lost Jackson. You lost Adoree Jackson. What you got playing outside right now?
Yeah, they would hang up on that one. All right, like let's keep it real. They're not trading Jeffrey Simmons. So yeah, that's about it. I think there's a couple other things, that happened. Well, there's a lot of news. Football related news is Gus Bradley said he likes Corey Littleton. He likes his ability to set the edge and is thinking about using him as an outside linebacker in base. Okay. And I've seen that this is causing a lot of confusion across the Twitter sphere, with beat writers jumping to a lot of conclusions, like they did with Amik Robertson when Gus Bradley said, I like Amik Robertson's ability to play man coverage. They went and they jumped to the conclusion that meant Amik Robertson was going to play on the outside. But then Gus Bradley went and said, no, he's playing in the slot, right? So what does it mean? Corey Littleton, Gus Bradley likes his ability to set the edge, and he might be an outside linebacker in base. That's what Gus Bradley said, okay? So Gus Bradley, when he's in base, he likes to run the underfront. We've talked about this so much on the show, right? That means that you kind of are compressing down the defensive line and walking up a linebacker to play on top of the tight end, okay? So you got three linebackers who are in the mix to start. Is Nick Witkowski an edge player? Is Nicholas Morrow an edge player, right? You're in base, which means you want to stop the run. Okay, let those guys play actual linebacker, and maybe putting someone like Corey Littleton on the outside, maybe that makes sense. That doesn't mean, and so we're talking about 3 snaps a game. You know what I'm saying? When they're going to be in base.
Yeah.
Like Gus Bradley never got into base against the Chiefs. They never did it. Okay, so there's going to be games that go by where they're not even doing this, what we're talking about, okay? And even when they do it, it will be very rarely, all right? And another reason why that might be a thing is if they do try this alignment out, where you put Nicholas Morrow and Nick Witkowski back as the inside linebackers, and then you walk up Corey Littleton over the tight end, now you can play man coverage because Corey Littleton can play man coverage over tight ends, right? So now you're putting him in the best coverage scenario if you're playing if you want to call cover one in that situation. Now you're putting Corey Littleton as best covers in the best coverage situation, better than Nicholas Morrow maybe playing man coverage or Nick Witkowski playing man coverage on the tight end, right? So I think that it's just getting a little overblown. Raiders are going to be in nickel 90% of the time, 85% of the time, and Corey Littleton is going to be playing weak side linebacker in nickel. That's going to be his spot. It's just going to be like a game plan specific thing when which linebacker they decide to walk up on the line of scrimmage in base personnel, and it's going to be very rare that it happens. So I don't think it's something that Raiders fans really need to read too much into.
Yeah. I think just some people need to get out of 2003. That's kind of my opinion. It's not 2003 anymore, guys. There's no 4-3 defense, really. We don't play 4-3.
There's no 4-3. Why don't they realize this? I already showed you my odd dime package breakdown. Because
First of all, people who say that don't watch our show. Okay, let's just get that out there, because I want to give a shout out to Tier Raiders 22. I saw you, my dude, Son and people online. I saw that. So if they don't watch our show, so let's talk about that first. But actually, second, but people just need to get that 2003, bro. It's not 2003 anymore. There's no base. Like, people was like, what? There's a Mike, there's a Sam, and there's a Will, and then there's a defensive end, and there's a 3 technique and a 1 technique.
Your voice right now. Right. Yeah. Like, yeah. On how many snaps? On how many snaps is this happening? Okay. Oh, on 3rd and 1. Okay. They might do that. Yeah. The rest of the time, they're in nickel. Just like the rest of the NFL, it doesn't matter if on base you're a 3-4 team, a 4-3 team, a 6-1 team. It doesn't matter, okay? When you're in nickel, you have 4-man front and 2 linebackers. Everyone across the NFL, that is what the personnel is across the entire league. That's what the Raiders are going to be in as well. They are no different. Corey Littleton will be playing. Really, it's in a nickel. Just want to throw this out. There's no Mike and Will in nickel. Okay. It's actually the Mac and the Money when they're in nickel. And that's pretty standard across the NFL too. So he's be playing money linebacker, nickel linebacker. Okay. It's 75, 80, 85% of the time. That's what his position is going to be. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really what it is. People need to get their heads out of 2000. This is not 2005, guys. Let's just say a lot of people, football's just passed them by. Like, guys, it's just
it's because Madden. It's because Madden. It's Madden.
No, I wouldn't even say that. I think it's a lot of people don't like stats. Stats are way big a part of football right now. People hate stats, especially a lot of Raiders fans hate stats. Hate them. So it keeps them from learning about things, because base is to stop the run, and nobody runs the ball anymore. Like, the Raiders ran the ball 44% of the time, and that was tied for 5th highest in the league. Like, if that was like 1999, you were a passing team,
right? Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a different league. It's just different. And people need to realize that, like, some of the things, the way you think. You can't, Derek Brooks and those dudes are not walking through the room. There's nowhere. There's no Tampa 2s. You can't run Tampa 2 anymore that much. Those things are gone. All right, guys. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
for sure.
I think we get a show on that though.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's it on my end. Covered a couple topics. Marcus blessed us with some Derek Carr criticism. Added some context to Kurt Warner's breakdown, so we appreciate you for that. As someone who actually watches the Raiders, and Marcus put it all on the line for the Tape Don't Lie audience. Okay, he went toe to toe. Kurt Warner tweeting at him, Kurt Warner replying back. Okay, I was about to hype it up. I was about to hype it up, but it ended before it was a scuffle on Twitter. All right. But yeah, that was cool. So yeah, thank you for that. And then, I talked about Isaiah Johnson. I talked about Damon Arnett, and I talked about how these guys are not even close to Rasul Douglas yet. So we'll see what happens in training camp. So yeah, I appreciate everyone for always tuning in. You guys are the best audience out there. We really appreciate it. There's actually a couple, Marcus and I were laughing. There's a couple other guys who do film breakdowns, and they get some negative comments on Twitter or on YouTube, and they start arguing with people, and they cancel their YouTube channel. And we've never even had that. So that's pretty cool. I don't know why that they get that and we don't get that, but I'd like to think that, the audience is pretty cool over here. So we appreciate you guys. Make sure you follow Marcus at the Mark John NFL on Twitter. Follow myself at BD Williams 18 on Twitter. Subscribe to this channel. Tell your friends about it. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you comment. We will read the comments. We appreciate you guys. As always, be cool, Raider Nation.